we are going to move on with Michelle from Tech Lab. Michelle has been with Tech Lab since March of 2019. She is our project coordinator and taskmaster of all. So thank you to Michelle for presenting today on Windows privacy settings.
So a couple of times ago, we did a show on privacy settings in your phone or tablet. And we also did a show on privacy settings in Facebook. Today, I want to talk to you guys about privacy settings in your computer. So there's two ways to get to this. The first is, you guys can all see where I'm this type here to search, right? Excellent. You can type in privacy down here and privacy settings will show up, and you can just hit enter or open and it'll show up. But I also want to show you a different way to get to this as well, because Windows, if any of you are familiar with earlier versions of Windows, this is something that's kind of new to Windows 10. So what you do is you hit your start button, and then you'll go to your settings, which is this gear over here. And in addition to control panel, if you guys are familiar with the older version of Windows, control panel is now, you also have settings. And this is new, like I say, this is new to Windows 10. And in this settings section, there is a privacy section. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So just to let you know, the default for most of these things is it's going to be on. This is because Windows wants your data. Sometimes this is for marketing reasons. Sometimes this is for them trying to make their software better. They're definitely going to try and convince you that it's to your benefit to have them on because they want your information. But for your privacy, your default is you're gonna want to just turn everything off. That being said, don't recommend just going through and turning everything off for a couple of reasons. If you turn everything off, you're gonna have trouble using your computer. So that's why I want to go through with some of these settings with you to talk about what turning them off does and does not do. The other thing that I would say about that is that after we're done with this call, I recommend just going through this on your own computer and taking a look at this. This is a default setting for the most part for most people, and it's good to check it out, especially once you know what you're looking at. So we're on the general tab right over here right now. And in this general tab, the first one that I really want to talk about is this: let apps use advertising ID to make ads more interesting to you based on your app activity. If this is on, what this means is you will receive more personalized ads. What personalized ads means is that there are going to be ads that you're more likely to click on, and they may have coupons. And this is why some people like having this on. As we've talked about in previous shows, clicking on ads can leave you vulnerable to viruses and things like that. So I think it's definitely safer to have it off, but some people like having it on. But these ads are more targeted to you based on them knowing what you clicked on and other data about you. The rest of these are not going to give you a whole lot of difference, but I will say that when this let Windows track app launches to improve start and search results means that because I keep opening up privacy settings, I can just type PR down here and privacy shows up and not printers and scanners, and that's roughly what that means. So for this next section is speech. What this section is if you guys have Cortana on your, well, everybody has Cortana on their Windows 10 computer, but this is how you turn Cortana off if you don't want Cortana on. This next section is inking and typing personalization. I haven't seen a whole lot of work with that, but that would be because I don't do much handwriting on my computer. If you guys do more handwriting on your computer, you may find that you want this one on. This diagnostics and feedback. when there is a problem with your computer and it wants to send diagnostic data to Windows, it can only, we recommend it, TechLab recommends it being set at required diagnostic data only, instead of the optional diagnostic data only, which will generally include part of like the info, your website, your browser history in terms of what websites you're browsing and information that you're putting into your programs. So, which is definitely not information that I want Microsoft having about me personally. The other thing that I want to show you back in this one here is there's recommended troubleshooting. And I'm an IT person. I would rather it ask me before fixing problems, but you could set it so that if there's a problem on your device, your computer will just fix itself. So that may be something that you want to think about at changing. The next one I want to show you is this activity history. Activity history is basically the programs that you're going into and different websites that you're going to. I know that we've talked about this in the context of the browser previously, but your Windows can save this for you as well, so that when your computer restarts all of a sudden on you, you can go back into what you were doing before. You can also, you know, if you want to store the activity history on this device, that's what that's going to do. You can also send your activity history to Microsoft. If you're signed in on a different computer with the same account, you may be able to get into the same programs that you were in on the other computer. On the other hand, that's not something that most people have, so I tend to keep that one off. So the next thing I just want to show real quick is this is talking about showing activities from these accounts. We're going to be talking about accounts in a minute, and the reason I want to show you is that these are the accounts that are going to show up. And so when it starts talking about accounts and your email and things like that, if your email account doesn't show up here, it's not affected by the account settings that we're going to go over. Does that make sense? Okay, because usually what happens here is you'll see your Microsoft account, unless you put your Windows or your email into like Windows Mail, your account may not is unlikely to show up here. So now I want to show you the app permissions over here. So what app permissions are, they work much like they do on your cell phone or your tablet. Certain apps are going to request access to your location, your camera, your microphone, things like that. Now, there are there's a couple of ways that the computer will ask you about this. First of all, do you want the computer to have access to your location? If you don't, you can turn it off. That's this first one. The second one is, and this is true of pretty much all of these app permissions that we're going to talk about, is that even if the computer has access to your location, you may not want the program in particular to have access to your location. And to some extent, you can deny that. You can turn off that I can turn off that no app or program will have access to my location. And if I do that, I can also set a default location. For example, I don't want Windows to know where I'm living, but it can know that, I'm in the Milwaukee area. And so I can make it set that it'll give me weather from the Milwaukee area if I want, even though I'm not there. I just won't get that information from the travel. You can also have your location history on, if your location is on, your location history will be on as well. And this is really for finding your device, but you can also clear it if you don't want your computer to know where you have, if you don't want, your computer to know where you've been. So mine's off, so everything is by default off on here. I will show you how you can turn it on later on the next one. So this next one is the camera. If you are using Zoom, like you are today, and you want people to be able to see you, this needs to be on. If you're having problems with Zoom and your camera not working, odds are this isn't your problem, but it's worth a look. Additionally, if you're using Zoom and you want your camera to be on, you need to allow apps to access your camera. Now, here we go. This is the part where it shows you what apps, Microsoft Store apps, can you access your camera. And this is why I find this is a really good thing to go over, is there's a ton of apps that are automatically installed on your computer that you don't necessarily know about that want access to your camera. And some of these can be running in the background. So I recommend taking a look at this and seeing which ones that you want to allow access to. So I don't really use OneNote, and OneNote, but OneNote could take pictures if I wanted it to. If I wanted it to take pictures, then I would make sure I had this on. But otherwise, considering I don't use OneNote, I just keep it off. You'll also see that the allow desktop apps to access your camera is on. This needs to be on for Zoom purposes. You're also going to notice that I got Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge in here as well. And this is important because Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge, if you guys do any other networking events that don't involve Zoom, so examples would include AirMeet, Remo, Virtual United, these kind of apps are showing up in your browser. They're not showing up as a separate program. But you'll see all the other programs that are in here that could access it, like Zoom, Teams, and the WebEx service. If these aren't in here, they're not going to work. So the same is true of the microphone as well. If I didn't have my microphone access on and I didn't allow apps to access my microphone, you guys couldn't hear me right now. And again, I would take a look at these to see what is accessing it and what I don't want it to access it. These programs that are on here, you can't really turn them off in here. If you don't want those programs to be able to access your microphone, I recommend uninstalling the program. This next one is voice activation. And what voice activation is if this is on and you have Cortana on and this let Cortana respond to Cortana keyword is on, if you just say, hey, Cortana, she'll listen to you from across the room. And you can ask her questions, kind of like Alexa does. This next section is notifications. So do you guys see this thing over here that says no new notifications? Okay, excellent. This is your notifications. This is also a new feature to Windows 10. And various programs, we'll take a look at this if we have a little bit of time, but we'll send you notifications, and this is what it's talking about. If this is off, you won't get any notifications. And you can turn on particular apps to access your notifications, and we'll take a look at that real quick. The other thing I want to show you in here is that this is the account info stuff that I was talking about earlier. This only applies to those accounts that I was showing you earlier. And same is true of the contacts. Contacts is typically this right here, which you're going to see. I don't have any contacts in here, but maybe you do. So this may not be wholly relevant to you because you may not have anything in there either. The other one I want to show you is this calendar. This is your calendar right here. I'm going to pull up the app so you guys can see it. But basically, you can integrate your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar directly into your computer calendar. And if you do that, you'll see that the events will show up right here. And you can add events if you want to. So this can be a way to get notifications about, if you want to get notified right on your computer about an event that's happening, In this notification section, that is how you do that. These phone calls and call history only apply when you have your phone connected to your computer. So most of you are not going to have that issue. It also is talking about your access to your emails. That again only applies to the accounts that you have up in your computer. The other one I want to show you down here is this background apps. Like your phone, apps run in the background. You are not open, don't have them open, but they're still on and they're still running. You can turn them off. And when you unplug your laptop and it's still running, if you're in battery saver mode, this is one of the things that it's going to turn off. It's going to turn off your background apps. But you know, the other thing is that you may find, you know what, I never used that. I don't need it to run in the background, like Microsoft Solitaire collection. Then I would turn it off so that it can't run in the background. This is also how you get notifications about that. So if I turn off weather, I may not get notifications about my weather. Those are the main settings that I want to show you in here, but let me show you also the notification settings just real quick here. So this is the notification section, and you'll notice that I went back to this settings page that we were on previously, and then I hit system, and then I hit notifications and actions, and this is where you can see all of the programs that have access to your notifications. And you can turn them off if you want to. So the one thing I do want to say is that about the app permissions that we were talking about in a second ago is that these app permissions need to be on in order for, okay, when you are going and you're in Google Chrome, for example, and you're looking the directions up on a map, right? And you're trying to figure out, get the directions to where you want to go. Your location needs to be, your computer needs to have access to your location here. This needs to be on. You also need to have Google Chrome have the ability to access your location. You're not going to see it in here because mine's off, but it should show up like it did here. For Google Chrome, it should show, Google Chrome should show up there. Then additionally, there's a setting on Google Chrome that you need to look at to make sure that Google Chrome has, you're giving Google Chrome access to your location. If those two things are not true, you will not get accurate data about where you are, and you will have to type in the location of where you are in order for it to do it. Make sense? So if you guys are having issues with, you know, Zoom not working, or if you're having issues with your location, there's a bunch of things you need to look at. And if you have any trouble with that, ask us.